Thank you very much for joining us for the midday news on Camnet TV. My name is Marco Kwakoze. Let's have a look at the stories making the headlines. Noise pollution angers Lusaka's Kanyama residents. Court orders the arrest of Lumezi lawmaker. And in international news, Ugandan NGOs launch new legal action against Total Energies. And in sports news, Al Ahly close to signing Chelsea goalkeeper Edward Mendy. For details of these and other stories, join us shortly after this break. Welcome back, and now the news in detail. Some residents of Lusaka's Kanyama Ward 13 have bemoaned the noise pollution, which they say is as a result of bars and barbershops playing loud music without consideration for the community members. Speaking to Camnet News, one of the residents, Mebo Kaluwa, says the noise pollution has also been negatively affecting school-going children as they cannot study at home. Meanwhile, Kanyama Ward 13 Councillor Leonard Dichelo says he will engage the Lusaka City Council to have inspections conducted. Here's a report.
This is the situation in Kanyama Ward 13 of Lusaka, both during night and daytime, as bars and barbershops are in the habit of playing loud music or in an effort to attract customers. These affected residents, however, say they have tried to engage the owners various times on concerns of noise pollution to no avail.
Our government that is for noise pollution. It is the effect. Customer customer from 6 hours back 21 hours. Chongo che inkala ili all over. So what tandizire kwa kazipita Lusaka City Council kutimverera kumalira muno.
Another resident, Francis Kamwena, says there is need for the Lusaka City Council to not only look at the problem that is prevailing in the community, but to approach it from a countrywide view, as it is a problem being faced by many communities.
Actually, there's too much noise of radios from some shops. The owners of the shops, I don't know who are dealing with music pieces of music collection, selling to some customers. Actually, for them, they feel like when making loud, music, that's when the customers are coming. But now people around here are being affected where, their ears are being affected, actually, where they are now becoming, when you are talking to them, they cannot listen fast because of the noise which is coming. And then also we have some, children who are going to school. They cannot have time to study even during the day, because it's not everyone who can manage studying during the night. So most of them, they are being affected with the noise coming from these shops actually. So my main concern is the Lusaka City Council, because the noise pollution in our constitution, Zambian constitution, is a crime. So the Lusaka City Council, what are they doing about this?
Meanwhile, Kanyama Ward 13 Councillor Leonard Chelo, in a phone interview, says he will engage officials from the Lusaka City Council, stating that noise pollution has become a nuisance. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Some residents of Lusaka have called on government to conduct sensitization campaigns on the benefits of Zambia's $6.3 billion United States dollars debt being restructured. Some of the residents in Kanyama tell Camnet News that they have no information on the country's debt being restructured. Meanwhile, an economist, Emmanuel Zulu, says government should provide adequate information on terms and conditions attached to the debt. Mr. Zulu says doing so will steer target in terms of the country generating much needed revenue. Here's a report.
On 23 June 2023, Zambia struck a deal to restructure $6.3 billion in debt owed to governments abroad, including China, in a breakthrough for indebted nations around the world that have faced lengthy negotiations with their creditors. This move has sparked celebrations in the country as it has been received with open arms by many. While this is the case, some Lusaka residents are still in the dark on the debt restructuring process. They explained to this journalist that they don't know a thing about the debt and are only concerned with the running of their businesses.
Tingafuna tiponzisa kuti taziva zona ndaiviva kuti tinamverako chabe so sivina titandise titi mavene boma kuti ngatitandizire mu mabizinesi yathu aya monga marepu so chabe matomato upeza niyodula yode so chabe so ndiye tingachiteko benefit
kaidi ni ja kuti nezomvera kuchawe nkongole zinasala ziliko so izo nkongole mwamene makambira zinasira zinasira so manje kaipo pasogolo manje pochitika manje afuta zasira pochitika
akubebenziwa ninganame bebenziwa hapo mwandi vili vonse so tufurache akabwera katupunseko chapa katuze pankani ya nkongole kubeche tuziva isi tingali patuzive ngani mwene yendera kaituona vintu vavuta patudanda uloke tulira palipose tilira so manje situziva chilengesa ni chani mwaona ka tudanda ula.
Meanwhile, economist Emmanuel Zulu says that the debt restructuring deal has been sealed and means the country's fiscal space can now improve. Mr. Zulu says there is need for government to provide necessary information on the terms and conditions attached to the deal.
But going forward, we also expect that the economy will grow more than at the rate at which it is growing. That is around 4%, probably to get to 7%. Of course, growth comes with its own consequences. We may jump into a lower middle income country, and also that may actually have consequences on the interest that we might have to pay. So I think one cardinal point that we also need to understand is that this debt relief is not debt forgiveness. So we might actually need to be very wise in the way the resources that will be made available will be actually invested, because we need to repay this debt after some period. So we expect the best out of it, and probably if there could be more details being made available to the public by the Minister of Finance, it will really help the public to actually understand more about this debt restructuring deal that Zambia has gone into. So ultimately it provides, for fiscal space that can actually see government do more projects, grow the economy.
The debt earmarked for restructuring includes $1.3 billion in arrears and $6.8 billion for private sector creditors. It, however, remains important that the majority of the citizens understand the benefits of the debt agreement with official creditors. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Finance and National Planning Minister Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwani has explained that the debt restructuring accorded to Zambia will, among other things, provide a significant debt relief through a maturity extension of the existing claims by more than 12 years, with the final maturity in the year 2043. Dr. Musokotwani, who made a ministerial statement in Parliament Tuesday, says the interest rates will also be set at a concessional rate during the next 14 years and will not exceed 2.5% thereafter under the baseline scenario. Dr. Musokotwani says principal repayments are starting in 2026, but only for 0.5% per annum for the period 2026 to 2035. He says the agreement also includes an adjustment mechanism that recognizes the uncertainties that exist regarding Zambia's future debt carrying capacity.
The official bilateral creditor countries have agreed to provide the much needed debt relief to Zambia as follows. A. Significant debt relief through a significant maturity extension of our existing debt by more than 12 years, with final maturity in the year 2043. So the debt has been stretched up to 2043, a significant maturity extension of our existing claims by more than 12 years, with the final maturity in the year 2043. B, interest rates will be cut from what they are today to very concessional rates during the next 14 years and will not exceed 2.5% thereafter under the baseline scenario. C, principal repayments starting in 2026, 3 years from now, but only for 0.5% of the debt stock per annum for the period 2026 to 2035. In other words, what will be paid will only be a small fraction of what ought to have been paid. Madam Speaker, this agreement also includes an adjustment mechanism that recognizes the uncertainties that exist regarding Zambia's future debt carrying capacity. The adjustment mechanism provides for an
The civil society organization Debt Alliance has urged the Zambian government to be transparent and consultative as they begin engagements with the private sector. Addressing a press briefing in Lusaka Tuesday, Alliance chairperson Father Alex Muyebe says the debt restructuring agreement calls for more hard work among Zambians. He says the successful restructuring of the debts should not prompt laziness, but should be used as an opportunity to improve the country's economy. Meanwhile, the non-governmental gender organization Coordinating Council, NGOCC, program manager Irene Mukete says Zambia risks going back to unsustainable debt levels if the government does not step up efforts towards unlocking sectors that can help contribute towards domestic resource mobilization. Here's a report.
Unsustainable debt levels reached by the Zambian government in the last 10 years has led to high taxes, put upward pressure on real interest rate, which has crowded out private investment, thereby putting pressure on the local currency and subsequently leading to high prices of goods and services, which has been felt by all citizens regardless of their geographical location. The announcement by the Zambian government that it has reached a debt restructuring deal with the creditors to have about 6.3 billion United States dollars restructured has brought some relief on the country whose budget was mostly being constrained by debt. The civil society organization Debt Alliance has however urged the Zambian government going forward to be transparent and consultative as they begin engagements with the private creditors.
The CSO Debt Alliance believes that this agreement not only supports Zambia's IMF program, but also paves way for reducing Zambia's risk of debt distress to moderate status, ultimately leading to long-term debt sustainability. The Debt Alliance understands that the bulk of work that lies ahead before signing the Memorandum of Understanding with official creditors. Hence, we urge the government to be transparent and consultative as they begin engagements with the private creditors.
Meanwhile, the non-governmental gender organization coordinating council, NGOCC programs manager Irene Muketa, says all the gains made will amount to nothing if government does not step up efforts towards unlocking sectors that can help contribute towards domestic resource mobilization.
It speaks to the issues of fiscal discipline, because if we were going to be in this mood of kind of celebrating to say, no, we've achieved this deal and we now have maybe more to spend, it will just take us into other issues which may land us into other problems. So I think it's a moment for us to just go back and plan better.
These programs that they're embarking on, the complexity and the detail, and so we become the bridge between government and the constituency, who are the citizens that we work with and we work for. So it's important that we are also part and parcel of the process, so government to create those spaces for us to be able to engage.
Others who spoke at the same meeting have called on the Zambian government to avail the conditionalities attached to the argument, as well as the MOU that Zambia will sign with the official creditors.
The agreement is not a debt cancellation agreement. It's a debt restructuring agreement, which means that it only offers us temporal breathing space, allowing us to first of all grow the economy, raise enough revenues, and then begin to pay back the money that we are owing.
We do not want to inherit debt. That is why we are urging government to ensure that we even come up with a local resources mobilization strategy, so like a plan B, so that we can pay this debt as quickly as possible.
For now, one only hopes the debt restructuring deal will result in increased investment opportunities that will subsequently result in economic growth, job creation, and lower the cost of living, which has remained above the income of most households. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, has distanced itself from the accusations laid on them by the opposition Patriotic Front, PF, that they are behind the arrests of former President Edgar Lungu's son, Daliso Lungu. In an interview, UPND National Trustee Grace Chivube says the UPND will not stop the Zambia police from conducting their work on suspected corrupt activities simply because they will be accused of influencing the Zambia police. Police on Monday arrested and charged Daliso Lungu along with his wife Matilda Milinga for being in possession of properties suspected to be proceeds of crime.
Bakapokola, we salute you. Kuchitwa mini mwamba kusebenza. Who found wanting endani mumutenge. So chikumbuso changu ba PF ni chakuti. Stop vuvuzela. If you are found wanting, if I'm found wanting, bakapokola bazani konka, bazani bila pali posa pamene nyiti. It doesn't matter I'm in bed, it doesn't matter I'm eating, it doesn't matter I'm washing, I'm bathing, bakapokola bazako nkosha, because bazina atikuichamene nachita. I'm found wanting. So if ngati bakapokola baenda kumugira mwana wa Lungu, wewe alikukaoshi. What's wrong with that? How many bantu bamene bamapeleka mamotoka kukaoshi? Why is bana babili? What's so special about Daliso Lungu? Kuti bamugile hivi. Banamugila because but the suspect something. So bakapokola, we salute you, keep it up. Once bamene bali na maishu alimonga sibidana yao bagwile. Ima munane mera mweka ekasimuo kateo mwakala richi. What about bantu bamene beze kumutandizani pa ground? Those people who were suffering in PF Up to now, they're still suffering. But you are not suffering because munaba vitu vambili. Munaba vitu vambili za Zambia.
The Lusaka Chief Magistrate, Davis Chibwili, has ordered the arrest of Lumezi Member of Parliament Munea Zulu following his failure to appear before court twice. Mr. Magistrate Chibwili issued the bench warrant against Mr. Zulu Tuesday morning after being informed that the accused and his sureties were not before court. This is a case in which Mr. Zulu is charged with 3 counts of libel against Minister of Finance and National Planning Stumbeko Msokotwane and his infrastructure, housing and urban development counterpart Charles Milupi. Mr. Zulu accused the 2 ministers of receiving corrupt payment of 250,000 United States dollars each from an unknown company.
Independent Lumezi area member of parliament Munea Zulu faces arrest following the subordinate court decision to issue a bench warrant against him. Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chiwili ordered the arrest of Mr. Zulu Tuesday morning following his failure to appear before court twice. Mr. Zulu was set to appear before Magistrate Chiwili this morning in relation to a case he's accused with 3 counts of libel against Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, and his infrastructure, housing and urban development, Charles Milupi. When the matter was caught, neither his lawyers nor sureties were before court, a situation that left the magistrate to issue a bench warrant against him, taking into account that it was the second time this was happening, the accused missing court session without any reason. However, the lawmaker appeared few hours after the matter was adjourned in the company of his lawyers, with a view to explain to the court what had happened. Magistrate Chiwili, however, maintained his position that he had already issued a bench warrant against the accused. Meanwhile, speaking to the media shortly after his appearance, this was Mr. Zulu's explanation.
I couldn't appear without my lawyers, and my lawyers were in court 6. And then we've made all efforts possible to see the magistrate. Unfortunately, our request or plea has been rejected. How can we run away from courts? I mean, we are responsible citizens and we are people of non-abode. So I'm shocked that a bench warrant has been issued against myself when my lawyers were in court 6. I was there waiting that I go with my lawyers. So now that the court has refused to see us, I do not know what to do next. I'll consult my lawyers, but we're here.
According to a police statement, Mr. Zulu had alleged that Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane and Charles Milupi, both ministers in the Zambian government, had received a corrupt payment of 250,000 United States dollars each from an unknown company. In addition, Mr. Zulu also made a defamatory statement against engineer Muchant Katawala, alleging that he had sent 150,000 United States dollars to Mr. Charles Milupi before his appointment as the board chairperson for the Road Development Agency. The matter has been adjourned to the 7th of July 2023. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Former State House Special Assistant to the President for Politics, Zumani Zimba, and 3 others have been committed to the High Court for trial on terrorism charges. The 4 are facing charges in relation to possession of terrorism articles contrary to the laws of Zambia. The accused appeared before the Lusaka Magistrate Court Tuesday afternoon for explanation of the charge. Here's a report.
After spending close to 30 days in police custody, former presidential political advisor Chris Zumani finally made his first court appearance before the Lusaka Magistrate Court Tuesday afternoon. Zumani, 44, who served under the Patriotic Front administration, is standing trial alongside Given Piri, Marlon Banda, both businessmen, and Port Fangawa, a nurse, with charges in relation to possession of terrorism articles contrary to Section 25 of the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Act 2018, as read with Act 16 of 2013. The 4 appeared before Magistrate Mvula, who has immediately committed them to the Lusaka High Court following the issuance of the Certificate of Committal by the Director of Public Prosecution. Allegations in the first count is that the four between the 2nd and 23rd of February 2023 were in possession of one bottle of 250 ml of paraffin, among other articles, for purpose connected with the commission, preparation or instigation of an act of terrorism. In the second count, they are facing a charge of procurers of terrorism articles. They are also alleged to have been found with the said bottles of paraffin, one bottle of 350 ml deep, 601 bottle of 250 ml, isopropyl articles used for the communication of a terrorist act, while in the last count, Chris Zimba on the 1st of February 2020 and the 22nd of February 2020 allegedly aided Given Piri and Melon Banda, his co-accused, to conduct terrorist acts in Petauke District, Western Province. The four are accused of being in connection with the chemical gassing incident that characterized the country in early 2020. They are expected to soon appear before the Lusaka High Court for their trial. They remain in custody as the offense they are charged with is non-bailable. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
On that note, we take a short break. We'll be back for international and sports news. Don't go away.
It's time! Camnet TV brings to you an exciting kids show called My Creation. Join me, Sarah Chandamagazagia, to interact with kids with special skills and talents between the age range of 9 to 17. This show will come to you every Saturday at 13:30 on Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Akora kansheko alakula chancha mutero kula chekerera ucho mwana na inanga nyaba butuka uwinge wo munanga tikasambe nani ingata mwishiwe pekani tuliposhe bana fia sasa ushe umwana na nyina ingana babutuka uwinge wo munanga tikasambe nani mwe ikushia ina shenya bo mwikere nabo.
Welcome back, and now in foreign news, Ugandan human rights defender Maxwell Atuhura, 5 French and Ugandan NGOs alongside 26 civilians have launched a new legal action in France on Tuesday against oil giant Total Energies for the alleged damage caused to its controversial oil mega project in Uganda. The accusers seek compensation for the multinational French corporation as the Tilenga oil drilling project and the East African crude oil pipeline project are what they consider a direct cause of human rights violation. We now have a roundup of international news.
Gabon's government has announced that presidential, legislative and local elections are to be held on August 26. President Ali Bongo Ondimba is widely expected to run for re-election against a very divided opposition. The Electoral College in question is therefore convened on Saturday 26 August 2023. Voting will open at 7 a.m. and close at 6 p.m. Bongo has been in power since 2009 when he took over from his father, Omar Bongo Ondimba, and was narrowly re-elected in 2016. The Bongo family has ruled the country for 55 years already, with the opposition branding them a dynastic power. So far, the opposition has failed to agree on a single candidate for the presidential election. With around 15 candidates having announced their intention to run, Bongo and his party are, for now, the overwhelming favourites to win. Germany's foreign minister is in South Africa this week for talks between the two countries. Annalena Baerbock was attending the German-South African Binational Commission in Pretoria alongside her counterpart Naledi Pandor. Energy security, climate change and geopolitical issues affecting Africa and Europe, including Russia's invasion of Ukraine, were expected to dominate the talks on Tuesday.
This war is, and we have discussed this already, is an attack on the UN Charter, on the very rules that bind and protect us all. The African delegation led by President Cyril Ramaphosa made this very clear in St. Petersburg. This war also concerns Africa. The UN Charter must be respected, and we are thankful for his clear words.
South Africa has faced criticism for its neutral stance on the war in Ukraine, refusing to condemn Russia and instead calling for dialogue between the two countries.
Today, we are faced with different and yet equally serious global challenges in Africa and elsewhere in the world, including in Europe, where the war in Ukraine has had global ramifications. We'll also discuss these in more detail during our discussions.
The Ukraine conflict has greatly affected food security and oil prices, with African countries among those most impacted by the war.
Ugandan human rights defender Maxwell Atuhura, 5 French and Ugandan NGOs, alongside 26 civilians, have launched a new legal action in France on Tuesday against oil giant Total Energy for the alleged damage caused by its controversial Tilenga oil drilling project and the East African crude oil pipeline project. The accusers seek compensation from the multinational French corporation as these projects are allegedly in direct cause to human rights violations. According to the NGOs, more than 118,000 people in Uganda and Tanzania are affected by total or partial expropriation as a result of the two projects. Back in February, the Paris Civil Court had dismissed a similar landmark case filed by nearly the same NGOs against Total Energy. This new legal action comes almost a week after the Paris summit for a new global financing pact, during which African leaders underlined how Western countries fail to respect financial commitments needed to salvage the contingencies of climate change on the continent.
And finally, in sports news, a Senegalese international goalkeeper Edouard Mendy is about to move to Al Ahly. He leaves the English club Chelsea, with whom he won every title possible from the Champions League to the FIFA Club World Cup. In the Middle East, Mendy will be reunited with his Teranga Lions teammate Kalidou Koulibaly. The Senegal captain signed up on Sunday to join Al Hilal from Chelsea.
Edouard Mendy's turn to join Saudi Arabia. The Senegalese international is about to sign for Al Ahly. He leaves the English club Chelsea, with whom he won every title possible from the Champions League to the FIFA Club World Cup. In the Middle East, Mendy will be reunited with his Teranga Lions teammate Kalidou Koulibaly. The Senegalese captain signed up Sunday to join Al Hilal, also from Chelsea. London players are definitely in demand on the Saudi side. A few weeks ago, N'Golo Kante joined Al Ittihad, while Morocco Hakim Ziyech is expected to join Al Nassr soon. After Cristiano Ronaldo at the beginning of the year and Karim Benzema last month, the Saudi Pro League has indeed taken on a new dimension.
On that note, we come to the end of the midday news, but before we go, we have a look at the stories that made the headlines. Noise pollution angers Lusaka's Kanyama residents. Court orders the arrest of Lumezi lawmaker Munie Zulu. And in international news, Uganda NGOs launch a new legal action against Total Energies. In sports news, Al Ahly close to signing Chelsea goalkeeper Edouard Mendy. On that note, we now take a look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from the book of Hebrews chapter 2 verse 1, and it reads, we must pay the most careful attention therefore to what we have heard, so that we do not drift away. That's it. That's all we had for the news at 12. Don't forget to join us again for the main news at 19:30 this evening. On behalf of the entire production team, it's bye-bye, but don't go away as we get into the next program, which is the Camnet Lunchtime Cafe.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Thank you very much for keeping it on Camnet TV. Now, this is a program that we call the Lunchtime Cafe. This program brings to you nothing but what is happening in latest news and across the country. And we do have our reporters that are on the ground giving us what is happening across the country. That is in a segment we call the Emerging Stories. And of course, we do give you another segment which looks at stories that happened some years back, just to refresh our memories. We do call that particular segment as the Forgotten Stories, just to refresh our memories on what transpired back then on this particular day. We do also give you an opportunity to talk to us by giving you an opportunity to call us on the segment that we call the viewers' reactions. Now, that particular segment gives you an opportunity to call us and give us your thoughts on what we are looking at on that particular day. And we do have also the segment we call the main interview, where we bring you interviews on various issues that are happening around us in this beautiful country. And today on that particular segment, we'll be talking to Oriental Quarries as regards the boxing tournament that is coming up sometime next month. So that is about the Lunchtime Cafe. Now remember that we are broadcasting to you live on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and channel 106 on Top Star. So those are the top channels that you can catch us on your decoders. But remember also that we are live on our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV. You can catch us live on that particular platform, and also not forgetting our YouTube channel, which is also Camnet TV. We are also live on our TikTok handle. It is also called Camnet TV. So those are the platforms you can catch us on, and remember that we'll be giving you an opportunity to call us and give us your views, your opinions, to call us and be part of this particular program by telling us what you think about what we are discussing on this particular program. But before we start with the nitty-gritties of this program, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be getting into the emerging stories.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you very much for staying with us. This is the Lunchtime Cafe on Camnet TV, and let's now get into what we call the Emerging Stories segment. Now, on this particular segment, we give you stories that are happening right now. We have our reporters on the ground, and they give us tidbits of what we do expect to run in our 19 hours menus. And we start with a story that is coming from the leadership movement, and it says the leadership movement President Richard Silumbe has described as baseless sentiments by President Hakainde Hichilema that government must engage with the business houses. Now, speaking to Camnet News, Dr. Silumbe says there is need to do away with what he terms a colonial mindset of believing that foreign investors can develop the country. He says only Zambians can develop this country. Let's have a look at this.
Mindset believes like that, because a colonized mindset runs on a colonial mindset that believes that anything foreign is better. A colonial mentality that thinks that only foreigners can develop Mother Zambia. Such sentiments came with the colonizer, the Britons, who came to these African countries and tell them that you as governments, you should not participate in business. That is foolishness on the part of government. When these governments, they got slaves, they worked for hundreds of years, they built empires, they made money, and then they start funding their entrepreneurs, and they run virtually everything. Then they tell you to do the same. When you are not just starting, they rooted oil resources, and you have nothing. We need government to participate in production. We need government to participate in business. This is why Saudi Arabia is where it is today, because it's government that runs those state oil fields. It's Saudi Arabia, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. They are where they are because government has not given up on business. Russia, government has not given up on business. China, government has never given up on business, and their countries are flourishing. And only a colonial, a colonized person would continue with colonial laws, colonial lies that were given to us. And we say, oh, government should not participate in business. Your copper is going, your manganese is going, your cobalt is going, your gold is going. You are waiting for a foreigner to come and dig for you. Gold that people are just picking on the floor. It doesn't make sense. And we need to put this colonized kind of government out of office so that we put.
So that is one of the stories that we expect to be in our menus tonight. The details of that particular story will come through at 19:30. Now let's quickly move on to the next one, and it comes from the Human Rights Commission, and it says the Human Rights Commission calls on government to enact the law that criminalizes torture and other cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment in order to effectively combat such crimes and violations. Now, Commission spokesperson Mwelwa Muleya says the enactment of the anti-torture law will contribute to effective protection of suspects from acts of torture from law enforcement agencies, and also provide for adequate punishment of perpetrators and compensation of victims of torture. Now, he notes that currently even if Article 15 of the Constitution of Zambia, Chapter 1 of the laws of Zambia prohibits torture and other forms of ill treatment, there is no enabling legislation that defines torture or inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment, nor prescribed penalties for such a violation. Mr. Mleya says torture is a crime against humanity and its prohibition in binding on all members of the international community, including Zambia, as it forms part of the international customary law.
The position of the Human Rights Commission is that there is need for the government to immediately enact a law that criminalizes acts of torture in Zambia. At the moment, even if acts of torture are criminalized under Article 15 of the Constitution of Zambia, there is no enabling law that defines torture and prescribes penalties for perpetrators of torture. As a result, there is no one who can be convicted of having committed acts of torture in Zambia, because the courts of law can only sentence anyone or someone for an offense that is defined and its penalties prescribed in writing, which is not the case with acts of torture. As a result, perpetrators of torture are only charged with assault-related, offenses, which are far below the highest threshold of torture, which is a grave offense and grave affront to the human dignity.
So that is another story that we expect to be in our 1930 menus on Camnet TV. So moving on, the United Party for National Development, UPND, is concerned that security firms contracted by Mamba Coal Mine is not remitting National Pensions Scheme Authority NAPSA contributions for the employees. Now, UPND Southern Province Vice Chairperson Administration for Women Affairs, Malala Majimba, said President Hakainde Hichilema is determined to ensure that employees benefit from social protection schemes such as NAPSA partial withdrawals. Ms. Malala has since called on Mamba Collieries to terminate the services of the security firm for flouting labor laws. Let's have a look at this.
There is one security firm. There are people who troubled me and the other people last time, just maybe 1 or 3 weeks ago, that the contractor was not remitting the money to NAPSA. You know very well that people now, women, they put men on their back because of this partial payment, but a poor working into these contractors is not paid because it's not remitting to the company.
As the civic leader in the mining community, we have a challenge on the issue on the labor issues. It's very unfortunate that the district has no labor officer. As a result, all the issues concerning the miners and the mining management are tabled by the councillor and the DC.
So that is another story that we also expect to be in the news. Moving on, Minister of Commerce, Chipoka Mulenga, says the debt restructuring achievement process will give the government more fiscal space and the ability to focus on actualizing investment and trade which he said are key drivers to sustainable economic development. Now, he said the debt restructured milestone would also see Zambians get involved in the country's growth because the money that was supposed to be used to settle the debt would now impact businesses and enhance the country's development. Mr. Mlenga spoke in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, before transiting to China, where he will attend the China-Africa Economic Forum.
Other than the foreign direct investment that we are calling to come into our country, there will even be local direct investment. And this is what we have done. No economy can grow without the full participation of its citizens. But what has this president done? This flexibility now that we have, this restructured debt that we have from our own coffers, from our own treasury, we can get more locals to be empowered and set up their own businesses while we attract foreign direct investment and partner with them. You will continue to see that Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission may even increase the financing even further. Constituency Development Fund will continue to go down and beyond. In the health sector, we'll continue to finance our health sector even as we wait for financial support from other cooperating partners. So right now, Zambia has got the ability to look up to its own coffers and finance. So it's something that is big and it's not easy. Other countries that started the negotiation before us, they're still struggling to negotiate because they have not demonstrated the ability to manage their resources prudently.
Thank you very much. You are still watching the Lunchtime Cafe on Camnet TV. And now moving on to sports, the Zambia women's national team coach Bruce Mwape now has all the 35 players in the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup provisional squad currently in Germany for an international camp. This follows the arrival of Kazakhstan quartet of Catherine Musonda, Irene Lungu, Helen Chanda and Martha Tembo. Now, the four were the last members of the Copper Queens squad to join the team following the inclusion of matches in Kazakhstan at the weekend. The Copper Queens will play against Switzerland on Friday in a pre-World Cup international friendly in Bienne. So that is it. Those are the stories that are emerging, developing stories that we expect to be in our main news at 19 tonight. But don't forget that these stories will come in details in full at that particular time, and there are various other stories that are developing and that will be coming in at 19:30. So make sure that you tune in to channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and on Topstar it's channel 106. Those are the channels you can catch us on Camnet TV. And also remember that you can catch us on social media, on our Facebook page, which is Camnet TV, and of course not forgetting our YouTube channel, which is Camnet TV as well. So that is what we had prepared for you in our Emerging Stories segment. Moving on, we are now getting into the forgotten stories. But before we do that, let's take a short break.
It's time! Camnet TV brings to you an exciting kid show called My Creation. Join me, Sarah Chandamagazagia, to interact with kids with special skills and talents between the age range of 9 to 17. This show will come to you every Saturday at 13:30 on Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
So that was the Emerging Stories segment, where we discuss stories that we are hopeful that will make the cut on the 1930 menus, and just giving you bits of those stories to give you an idea of what to expect at 1930 hours in our menus. Let's move on and look at the Forgotten Stories segment. Now, this segment we bring to you stories that happened some years back, and we just want to refresh your memories to remind you of what was transpiring. Now, on this day in 2020, Lusaka City Mayor Miles Sampa warned bars and nightclubs to adhere to the COVID-19 regulations. Let's have a look at this.
No, just because the president was very clear that bars were closed last address, and there was a public outcry that the foreign-owned restaurants are abrogating the rules and operating as bars in the night. And also elsewhere, the Zambian-owned bars in the communities were apparently being closed by council, and those ones owned by foreigners being ignored. So the council officials, if they were not doing that, I personally took it personal and visited those owned by foreigners and proved that indeed they were acting like bars when they should not. And we closed them on the spot, and they have to appeal to the council to show cause why we should open them. Chicago, the owner was very cooperative. The residents, the people who were drinking there, of course, didn't like the idea because they were enjoying themselves, and yet we're doing this to save their lives. Chicago, the owners were not very cooperative, and they tried to elude us. They locked themselves in, and they were not very cooperative, the Chicago management. But the granddad management were not cooperative. But still, we did close them. They also remain closed until further notice. But we closed the one in Chilenge, MS Liquor. We closed it also. They were found them selling alcohol, people drinking. And then we closed Drill Beat in Ilivala also. We found them on the spot. People were drinking. That was about 22 hours. We closed the total of 4 bars last night. The message to other bar restaurant owners disregarding that presidential guideline, it's not if, but when we'll bounce on them and close them as well. Some of them will never even give them back. So they should choose whether to take the risk or not. They should be patient and wait until the president says the bar can open. Other than that, anybody wants to behave in that manner, they shouldn't think we'll loot them. We have eyes for everywhere in the city. We'll bounce on them and confiscate their license, and we may never give them back.
Now, on this very day in 2020, UPND youths voiced out their concerns on what they termed as a violation of their rights. Let's have a look at this.
We youths in this country have been abused, marginalized, brutalized by the state police. We're talking about Zambia. It means that Zambia's democracy is still in the books more than in reality, more than it is in reality. So we are urging the powers that be to allow the youth to voice out, to permit the youths demonstrate in a democratic manner as one of their constitutional rights, that which is enshrined in the Bill of Rights. The voice of the youth in Zambia must be given the space the voice of the youth in Zambia must be given the ears and rendered the accurate attention.
Can the government create a conducive environment whereby when somebody graduates, they should be able to discharge the tenets of their faculty of study immediately, because these are the technocrats and these are the people that can help the government to grow this nation economic-wise.
So that is what transpired on this day in 2020. Now let's move on to 2021. On this very day, the Electoral Commission of Zambia had announced that it had lifted the suspension on the UPND and the then ruling Patriotic Front in the 3 districts that they had banned campaigns.
The Commission has reviewed the situation and would like to announce that we have fully lifted the suspension of campaigns for the PF and UPND in the following districts, that is in Mpulungu, Nakonde and Namwala, that is 3 districts, following the satisfactory conduct of the 2 political parties in these jurisdictions. The Commission greatly thanks the leadership in these districts and call on them to really uphold the peace that they've embarked on. It is quite commendable. The Commission, however, is not fully satisfied with the conduct of the Patriotic Front and indeed the United Party for National Development in Lusaka. The Commission has received a number of incidences in Lusaka that are under investigation. And this is quite saddening. We have reports of maiming of each other in terms of political party cadres and other incidences which have been reported to the Commission, and we are working closely with the Zambia Police and other agencies to quickly conclude these investigations. Therefore, the Commission has only partially lifted the suspension in Lusaka district. This means that all physical campaigns in Lusaka remain suspended. However, in addition to the sport adverts and the documentaries that were allowed during the suspension period on various media platforms, the Commission will allow the 2 political parties to air their programs on radio and television, as well as publish articles in the newspapers and indeed any other activity that does not involve physical campaigns.
And finally, on this day in 2021, the independent churches of Zambia, ICOs, advised churches in the country not to allow politicians to abuse them for political mileage. Let's have a look at this.
Since time immemorial, politicians have used the church as a tool for their political mileage. This trend has been observed in recent months as the country gets near the polls. The political parties have on a number of occasions used the church as a platform for their political advantage, as observed by some stakeholders. The Independent Church of Zambia, ICOS, President Bishop David Masupa has therefore urged the churches to avoid the politicizing of their respective church services.
We have seen a tendency of the politicians who were not even visiting the churches. Now they've come up with a system where they are visiting churches, and at the end of the day, instead of visiting the churches to go and sit in the pew, just because of a small token that they have, they want to be given an altar or a platform to come and address the church. I think that is wrong. We need to take cognizance of the fact that in that church, there are people with different political opinions and affiliations. So when you go to that church, simply go and sit in that pew And the least you can ask is for a prayer.
Meanwhile, Bishop Masupa has called on all religious groups to preach and foster peace as the country approaches the general elections. Speaking in the same interview, ICO's president further encouraged the churches to tighten the fight against COVID-19 by avoiding the handling of physical money meant for offerings and instead use electronic means to avoid transmission of the virus.
We are aware that some churches cannot afford to send that money using bank electronic systems, even mobile money. If you are found in that kind of a situation, we want to advise the church, especially the remote churches, that you need to have a hand sanitizer at hand, or just a dish of water and soap. Immediately you receive that money and you finish counting, quickly wash your hands and then put that money somewhere and take it to the bank.
Alex Shimba, reporting for Camnet TV, Lusaka.
Hey, join me, Amazing Katamanda, on the weekly gospel show for those exciting and interesting interviews with your favorite gospel
Hold on to me when it's too dark to see. You cannot put your power back to war.
Hallelujah. And this time around, we are bringing to you entertainment news and the countdown, as you guys are able to nominate your top 3 favorite music videos of the week. Remember, it's every Saturday at 10:45. You can also catch repeats every Monday at 10 hours. Camnet TV is not just another time.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Thank you very much. You are still on the Lunchtime Cafe, and moving on, this is the interview segment where we get to speak to various people on different issues. And today we are talking boxing, and we do have in our studios with us Mr. Barus Malunga, who is the operations manager at Oriental Quarries Boxing Promotions, just to talk to us about an upcoming event which will be held at the Mulungushi International Conference Center here in Lusaka. You'll be giving us details about that particular event. Mr. Malunga, thank you very much for making it to the program. Welcome to this interview.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the viewers.
Mr. Malunga, firstly, I want us to start by talking about the sport in general before we come down to the event that is coming next month. Where are we at as a country as regards boxing?
As a country, as boxing, so far, after coming from the pandemic, it's been a rough ride, but we're getting there. We're there as a country. We're getting there slowly.
Now, we have seen that previously we had female fighters who were carrying the flag so high, like Esther and of course Catherine. We don't see that anymore now. Do we still have women in the sport?
Yes, actually we still do have women, and I'll give you a good example of Lolita Mzea. We've got Linia Kashweka. We've also got some of these good boxers who are in the amateur ranks, if you follow the amateur ranks. So the sport is there actually. And the one thing, the good thing about this sport, it's got an advantage to ladies, because there are already ladies who have set the bar at a world standard. So the country has got that recognition. Even as you are a Zambian female boxer, you have that advantage. Yes.
Now, we have seen that female boxers usually only come from Oriental quarries or the other boxing stable. We don't have quite a number of these boxing stables in the country. Do you feel that the sport is receiving the required support from the government?
The sport actually is receiving a lot of support from the government. The sport is receiving 100% support from the government. But we're also asking also for stakeholders. You know, it takes a lot to put up a promotion or to have a stable. And then we'd really appreciate if we would have more stakeholders coming on board. It will grow the sport. Yes.
Now tell us about the upcoming event. How far have you gone with the preparation? Where are we at?
Okay. In percentage, I would put it at 60%, 60-70% of the preparations for the coming tournament, which is scheduled on the July 15th, 2023. And in terms of the budget, our budget is 330,000, and so far we have raised 180 with a deficit of 150.
Now, who are you working with currently? Who has come on board to come and help in the organization of this particular event?
Okay, so far we're working with Topstar, who are going to be televising the fight live on TV4, and we're also working with our all-weather time sponsor, Trade Kings through Big Tree, Kung Fu Energy Drink. Yes.
Now, what is your word to the other people in the corporate world as regards helping with this particular tournament?
I would urge them to come on board, because this is a very good, and it's going to be a very big tournament, because it's an international tournament. And it will be live on ZMBC TV4. And it's also good for the sport to have more sponsors on board, because then the sport is going to grow.
Now, I know you mentioned that this is an international event. What is this event called? Who is coming to fight in this particular event?
We're going to have, we have about 7 bouts of the night. And then on those 7 bouts, I can name them. You want me to name them for you?
Yeah.
Okay, so on those 7 bouts, I've got international bouts. The first bout will be between Alfred Kaziwa versus Evans Usaiwevu from Zimbabwe. This is going to be a lightweight 6 rounds bout. And then the second bout will be between Mombela Mukuni of Zambia versus Tatenda Biningu of Zimbabwe. This is also a lightweight 8-round bout. Then the third one is between Gracious Simwalizi versus Bongani Makovora. It's a super bantamweight 6 rounds international bout as well, between Zambia and Zimbabwe. Then the fourth bout is between Ali Kavea of Congo versus Clever Stole in the middleweight 8 rounds of Zimbabwe. Yes, then the fifth bout is a female, as you are asking me. It's between Lolita Mzea versus Joyce Awino of Kenya. This is in the super welterweight 8 rounds. Then we have these, the last 2 bouts are very interesting, because obviously these are common names that you've heard of, and it's also the return of Alfred to the ring, Alfred Muo, who is the former ABU champion, who will be fighting Yusuf Chilangwa Ali of Malawi in a bantamweight 8 rounds fight. Then the main fight for the night will be between Dave Mwale of Zambia versus Patrick Kwimeru of Tanzania. This is a bantamweight 8 round bout. So it's going to be a very good tournament. As you can see, they're all international bouts.
Now, what is at stake? What are these fighters fighting for? Is there any belts that are to be worn on this particular night?
These are non-title fights, but these fights are what builds the boxer towards a title fight.
Okay.
Yes. Without the record of these fights, you cannot get a chance to have a chance at a title fight. That's why it's very important for boxers to be active to build that record. Yes.
Now, boxing fans have not seen Alfred for a while, as you have put it.
Yes.
What should the fans expect from the boxers that are coming to fight, especially those from Zambia?
They should expect a very good fight. They'll put up their best. The boxers have assured the fans out there, when we were speaking to them as management, they said, no, we're going to put up a very good fight. And they're training very hard, and they're in camp right now, and everything is okay.
Okay. Now, as Oriental Quarries, apart from this fight, do we see any other tournaments before the end of the year with your boxers?
Yes, actually we had a tournament. We had a plan. The plan was to have 5 tournaments for the year. We were supposed to start with the Komboka, but due to the unfortunate circumstances, we had cancelled. That's why now we're in Lusaka. Then we had to announce the other remaining 3. So there are still more tournaments coming during this year.
The other one, the interesting fight, is that which involves Lolita Mzea, because she's female.
Yes.
And we have not seen Lolita also for a while. What do we expect in this particular bout? She's fighting a Kenyan lady, you said?
Yes. Lolita has promised the fight. It's a very good fight. She said she's going to put up a very good fight and she's going to put up her best. And you see, some of our boxers, we may not have a tournament here, but they're active. They go out there and have fights out there.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of their good record. Yes.
So when was the last that Lolita had a fight?
Lolita had a fight, I think, about, if I'm not to be correct, must be between 3 to 4 months ago. Yes.
Okay. So as we come to the end of this interview, Mr. Malunga, what is your word of advice to the corporate world and the boxing fans at large as regards the tournament that is coming on the 15th?
Okay, so my word to the corporate out there, the stakeholders, because they're the stakeholders in this, is to come on board, jump on this train. This is going to be a very good tournament. We need your support. And to the fans out there, we're showing them they're going to have a very, very good tournament. And I know they're hungry. We haven't promoted in a very long time. The last tournament we had was last year in Chipata. Yes. So the fans, come out in numbers, come and support us. It's going to be a very good tournament and you're going to enjoy it.
Mr. Malunga, I would like to thank you very much for making an appearance on the Lunchtime Cafe.
All right, thank you.
We were talking to Mr. Barus Malunga, who is the operations manager at Oriental Quarries Boxing Promotions, and he was talking to us about the fight that is coming up, the tournament that is coming up on the 15th of July, right here in Lusaka at the Mulungoshi International Conference Center. So do make sure that you find your way to that particular venue on the day of the fights. Mr. Malunga, I wanted to conclude.
Yes, and I would like to talk about the ticket sales. Will be announced shortly, but the prices are there. So we'll have, it will be divided in 4 categories. There will be an upper deck, which will be going at 100 kwacha. Ordinary will be going at 150. VIP will be going at 250 kwacha, and VVIP will be going at 500.
Okay.
So you can get these tickets at North Mid, shop number 5, from Web Ticket. As soon as we'll be having a press briefing, we'll announce when the ticket sales will commence.
Okay.
Yes.
So we take a short break, and when we come back, we will continue with the program.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those that have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Akora kansheko, anakula chancha mukelo kula sekerera uchomwana nanyi nanga navabutuka uwingemo munangati kasambe nani ingatamwishive pekeni tuipushe vana fya sasa ushe umwana nanyina inganava butuluka uwingemo munangati kasambe nani mweipusha ina ipisheni abo mwikere nabo.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rain Glow, your smart irrigation partner.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rain Glow, your smart irrigation partner.
Thank you very much. So that was Baruz Malunga from the Oriental Quarries Boxing Promotions, and he is the operations manager there. He was talking to us about the upcoming event which will be held on the 15th of July next month, of course, at the Mulungushi International Conference Center. So we were just getting the details about that particular tournament. On that note, we come to the end of today's program. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow at exactly 12 as we bring to you another exciting and informative program on Camnet TV. It is called The Lunchtime Cafe. Join us tomorrow.